Hello lovelies, my name is Martina. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 24-hour readathon, but not reading for 24 hours straight. I've tried doing that one all the time and it only lasted I think 19 to 20 hours, never actually 24. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the timer method. So basically I'm going to see how many books I can finish in exactly 24 hours, but I won't be staying up for 24 hours straight because I've never done that before. I never actually read exactly 24 hours. And sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll be a slower reader, but sometimes I'm a faster reader. I think I really want to read a lot recently, so I think I might get a lot of books done. I'm going to start the readathon at 11 a.m. So before I get into that, I have some book mail that I want to unbox first, because I have some really exciting mail I can't wait to see. So let's do that first. So first one. This is Hair by Sabata Hair. Oh, that rhymes. So if you don't know, one of my favorite series ever is I don't even know what it's called, but an Ember and the Ashes quartet. It's 4 books in that series. I love them all equally, to be honest, but especially the last book, A Sky Beyond the Storm. I love that one so much. And this author, she likes to hurt your feelings so bad. So I got Air, but I don't know when I'll be reading this because do I want to be hurt right now? I don't think so, but I really want to read it. And I honestly forgot it was coming out in October. I thought it was later this year. I don't know why I thought it was later. Oh, underneath the dust check, it's pretty. Oh my gosh, they went all out with this. I love that for Stella. But yeah, this is like after everything happened in Ember and Ashes, so it's a totally different character. I think it's one of the companion characters in here is Sun, that is the main character in here, and from what I've seen, what readers reading it is just as painful as reading the Ember and Ashes. Like characters are getting killed off and stuff. So I'm here for that. Like, am I? I don't think I'm ready. So yeah, that's the first book I got. I'm trying to take this sticker off because no one likes these stickers on the book covers. Okay, next package. Oh, I got it in one swoop. Usually I don't get it in one swoop. I forgot what is this one. Oh, this is not a book, but it's book related. I got, what do you call these? I got a book nook kit. And it's like a all bookstore. That's what it says. This is gonna take me some while to do. I think they say this takes you 2 to 3 hours, but this is my first time ever doing it, so I don't know if it will take me that much. Hopefully it actually takes me more than that because I like listening to my audiobook and doing stuff like like puzzles or coloring. That's how I found it out recently that I can listen to an audiobook while doing those. So I got this because I saw a lot of booktubers getting them and they look so pretty. I don't know where I will put it, but I want to make one because I like making stuff. So I got one of those and I'm excited to do it. So the book I got is A Grave Robbery by Diana Rayburn. This is a ninth book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I've been reading the series this year, enjoying it so much, and honestly, I didn't want to get this one at all yet because I didn't want to start reading it because it'll be the last one I have to read this year until the actual final book comes out. But I do need to start collecting these books because I've been reading them via ebook. Honestly, and I think I only have 4 of them physically. Yeah, it's like 4 of them I own physically, so I need to collect the rest of them. Okay, open this box now. It's the last one. Okay, I got Death at Morning House by Marian Johnson. I'm really excited to read this one. So I think for this readathon, I want to mainly focus on reading mystery thrillers like this one, and I have a few others in mind. So let's get into the TBR that I have, the TBR stack. I want to do my reread of An Enchantment of Ravens, but I don't know if I want to read it first or read this first. And then I have Their Vicious Games. This one, it sounds super exciting. I don't know. I've been really wanting to read it recently. How much pages is it? Yeah, it's 400 pages. I've been wanting to read this one recently. And then The Naturals. This is considered a mystery thriller. I looked it up on Goodreads to make sure because it's like focused on these teenagers. They're basically trying to solve these old cases involving certain serial killers, and that's the mystery part of it. And I guess because it's serial killers, then it's basically a thriller at the same time. I classify these as mystery thrillers, but obviously this isn't mystery thriller. But I'm also thinking I could probably start A Grave Robbery and read that instead first. I don't know. I honestly didn't play my TBR that well for this vlog, but I'm probably just gonna go with the flow and decide what to read first. So these are all my options for this readathon. I honestly didn't plan it to be this way. I had like mainly these thrillers in mind and an Enchantment of Raven, but now I'm seeing A Great Robbery. I really want to read it as well. So in the next couple of minutes, the 24 hours starts, and I'll decide then which book I'll just read first. It's a little over 4 hours later. I think I have 19 hours and 50 something minutes left on my timer. And I finished An Enchantment of Ravens. This is a reread for me. I read this years and years ago. I think probably 5 years now since I read this book. So honestly, reading it now, I didn't recall anything. Like anything other than the atmosphere is what I recalled. I love the atmosphere of this book. And upon reading it again, I think I want to up my rating for it on Goodreads. I did give it 4 stars the first time I read it because I really liked the character Isabel and Arup and the overall atmosphere of the book. So this time around now, I really appreciate Margaret Rodington as an author, and I just really love her writing style. And I annotated this book so much because it had such whimsical wording, and the autumnal court and the spring court, whenever I was reading those parts, I just loved it so much that I have to give it its praise and give it a higher rating. So I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars because this is the one book I just really love. It's very romantic and atmospheric and just so beautiful. I loved everything. So that is my reread done of An Enchantment of Ravens. It's a perfect start to the 24 hours because it is a book I know I loved before. So it was faster to read it. That's why it only took me 4 hours to read this one because this is also less than 300 pages. So I knew it was going to be a quick read. So that's why I wanted to start with something very easy to start off this readathon. So now I have this stack right here, and I'm still trying to figure out which one I want to read. I do want to read this a lot, but I don't know if I want to do it in a readathon where I'm reading a lot of books back to back. I do want to kind of appreciate this more and take a longer time to read it. So I think because of that reason, I'm going to take it off this 24-hour TBR completely because I don't want to quickly get through this book. And I'm more looking towards these two, which is funny because they have like a similar color pattern, which I'm just noticing. But yeah, these are the two I want to read next. And I think this, They're Vicious Games. I'm going to go with this one. Yeah, I feel like I want to read this one more. I heard it's very dark and very thriller-like. So I'm going to go with this one. And hopefully I enjoy it. So last time I updated, the plan was to read Dear Vicious Games by Joe Wellington, but it's been a change of plans. I got like 2 chapters in, like I got say a chapter and a half into this book, and I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. It was more on the serious side, and I don't want something too serious at the moment, so I decided to continue reading this book I was reading since last week on Kindle. I was only 4% of the way through that book, I think on page 30 or something. So I switched to reading On the Run with a Vampire. I think it's by Anise Starr. So it's a paranormal romance, obviously about a vampire and this girl that gets caught up with this vampire because he mistook her for a vampire as well. And turns out she's not a vampire, but she's now in this mess with him because even the people that he's running away from think she's a vampire too, and it's all because she has this heart condition that makes her heart beat very slowly. So when he first met her, because of her heartbeat, he thought she was a vampire as well because vampires don't have heartbeats. Hers is so slow that he mistook it as her not having one at all. It's very it's very crazy. I love it. It's like so all over the place, but it's so enjoyable. I have so much quotes I highlighted on there because I'm just really loving it. I've almost been reading for 3 hours now. So on the timer now, I'm at 17 hours. So that means I've read a good 7 hours in total so far. And I'm almost done with On the Run with a Vampire. I have 50 pages left of reading that one. I actually stayed up late reading that one last night because I really enjoyed reading it, but I was getting so sleepy that I decided to stop at one of the chapters because I just kept saying, okay, another chapter. But I was like, no, girl, you're too sleepy. Eyes were closing. I was forgetting words. So I stopped reading it, but I'm really loving it. And I'm going to finish it up. And then I think I'm going to read Dead at Morning House because I do want to really read this one. I hope it's more fast paced and not like a slow thriller because Dear Vicious Games read like a slower book. And I don't want something slow right now. I want something very fast paced and like really easy to read because otherwise I'll get very slumpy in this 24 readathon and I don't want that. So I'm hoping I've made good choices. Okay, so it's a little bit later and I finished up On the Run with a Vampire. I now have 15 hours and 53 minutes left of this readathon. That's quite a bit of hours. So I still got quite a bit to read. And I'm excited about that because I do have a couple more books I added on my TBR. Well, one more. I added When the Crowd's Away. That one is the second book from In the Company of Witches, which I really love that book. I give it 5 stars, so I'm excited to read the sequel. But first, I am going to read Dead at Morning House. I actually did start this one. And I gave On the Run with a Vampire 4 stars. It was a wild ride. I really love it. It was chaotic, romantic. It's just a very fun, humorous paranormal romance focused on this girl that has to run away with this vampire because she gets caught up with him and all the mess that's going on with his life at the moment. And I really loved it. I have my headphones on because I am currently listening to the Ed Morning House, and it's quite interesting so far. I don't really know much because since the last time I read the synopsis, I haven't read it again, and I'm not going to. It's focused on this family, and it's mainly this guy. He's a doctor. He adopts 7 kids, but mainly 6 of them first. They're all around the same age, and it's set at this house on this island. I think a Rollington Island. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. So basically, it's set at this island, and they own this house there called Morning House. But in the beginning, you see the family. They have this routine and this lifestyle that on the outside seems very boring to me. I would never want to live like that. They only eat the same food every day, and they have like these strict schedule. They don't have a normal family life where you don't have like a strict routine in your life. You just do as you go. Basically, the dad has them all doing specific things each day, and we have this news reporter that comes and is doing this story on them. That's where I'm at so far. But we find out that 2 of the kids die, and the main character's name is Marlo. She gets a job at Morning House as a tour guide for the house, and that's where I'm at so far. I don't know anything else other than that, but it sounds very interesting. It's very quick, and the chapters are very short. I love short chapters. So that's how the of Morning House is going. And On the Run with a Vampire was such a great read. I gave that one 4 stars. I really enjoyed reading it. Okay, so we're a little bit over 13 hours in this readathon now. I have 11 hours and 23 minutes left on my timer, and I just finished Dead at Morning House. I have to say though, even though I'm not doing this 24-hour readathon exactly straight through, I have stayed up late for most a big part of this, and I'm not used to reading books back to back, so it is taking a bit of a toll on me. Like so much information is stuffed in my brain like all at once. So I'm having a bit of a headache of it, to be honest. But nonetheless, I like a challenge, so I'm gonna push through. And I'm gonna try to stay up as late as possible tonight as well to get most of my hours done because I have to go to work tomorrow. So I want to use as much time as possible today since it's my day off to get this readathon completed. Dead at Morning House, I gave 3.5 stars. It was a bit underwhelming on the mystery side. I expected a bit more eerie darkness to it, but I didn't get that on the side surrounding the family at Morning House. It wasn't as dark as I expected, I guess I would say, but it was a little bit thrilling, just not as thrilling as I would like it to be. But it was quite fast. I did finish this book quite fast because it read really fast. And I think Part of that is because the main character using here, she was a perfect character to read through her point of view. She's just so funny. Like I really love reading through her POV because she's so interesting and like very relatable. Like she's very much a teenager struggling. All of her anxiety and ramblings just had me so invested because I was just like, okay, girl, you're gonna get through this. But yeah, I really liked her. And the other characters, they were okay, but Marlo, I loved her the most. She made the story really more interesting. But I didn't like the modern parts as much, other than Marlo. The modern story part I didn't like as much because Death at Morning House, it switches between the 1930s when the two kids died, and it goes back to the modern day when Marlo is at Morning House and she's being a tour guide there. There's also this sudden mystery going on in the modern day as well, while you're going back in time to see what happened between those two kids that died. So it was just an okay read for me. I wouldn't say it was like the most exquisite anything. And I found myself after all the reveals happen around page 300. And we had like, and this book is 370 pages. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm tired. I want to get it over with. So I wouldn't say it was one of my favorite reads ever or anything. I was just like, okay, I just wanted to know what happened. And after everything was revealed, I was like, I don't really care. So yeah, 3.5 stars Dead at Morning House. So now I'm left with these two options, The Naturals and When the Crows Away. But obviously I want to read this more. Like when I finished Dead at Morning House, because it wasn't as enjoyable as I wanted it to be, I was just thinking, I can't wait to read this one. Because this one I know I would like. It has a murder mystery, and I think it's like a chocolatier who dies, and he has a main character try to solve his murder. And I'm here for that. It's giving Willy Wonka. I don't know, maybe because he's a chocolatier, that's why I'm thinking of that. But I want to read about it. So that's what I'm going to do now. And hopefully I get through this marathon unscathed. But we'll see. Good morning. So last night I stayed up till 12 a.m. to finish When the Crowd's Away. I started it, I think, around 7 p.m. 7, almost 8 p.m. actually. It was like 7:50 or something when I started this book. And oh my goodness, I loved it so much. It did not disappoint me at all. I honestly expected the second book to be not as great as the first book, In the Company of Witches, but I actually kind of loved it a bit more. And honestly, I think it's because I love the family dynamic between Bryn and her aunts. I just love it so much, and her uncle as well. And like I said about In the Company of Witches, I really love the town vibe, the small town vibe. It's like a small antique kind of town that is just very old and have like all these really beautiful old homes, and the people there, their family have lived there for hundreds of years, so they all like know each other's family history and stuff. So I just really love that part about it. And it has like this dark dreary atmosphere as well at night, especially with like the old creaky houses and the shops all to get lined up together in one area. I just love that. I just love reading about that part. And then the mystery itself now, it's surrounding this chocolatier who dies, but he comes to Bryn and tell her he thinks he's been murdered. And so she's trying to solve the mystery of who murdered him. I was actually invested in that man's story because so much drama between the people in his life. And I was surprised by the reveal. Like I had no idea that was what happened. That was honestly very surprising. So the mystery part did not disappoint me. And then there was this other plot point from the start of the book that I was really invested in, but it wasn't like touched on a lot of the times. It was just like a tiny, tiny touch on the topic. And at the end, we had like this big reveal at the end. So I'm like, why is there another book too? This book was released in April 2022, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any more books in the series, but I honestly think there should be another book in this series because that little plot point there, it deserves another book. Like I was so invested in that storyline, and then done. Just done like that. But yeah, upon all that rambling, I actually rated this one 5 stars. I think this is like a new comfort series for me. It just has all these little things that I really enjoy reading about. So honestly, even though I really wanted to sleep last night, I pushed through. I kept reading, and I listened to the audiobook as well and switched to ebook at the end of the night so that I wouldn't have the lights on. And honestly, that experience was so great. I loved it. Like reading a witchy cozy mystery in the dark, it was it was so good. And the audiobook narrator, her voice really fits for Bryn. So now I have 6 hours and 53 minutes left of the readathon. I do have this last book left on my TBR, and I don't really know if I want to read it though. The thing is, because I kind of lost interest in reading this, but at the same time, it's a bit short. It's like less, is it less than 300 pages? No, it's exactly 300 pages. But the thing is, I've been reading these 300-page books in this readathon, and it has been taking me around 4 hours to do that, and I have 6 hours and 53 minutes left, so I'll have a lot of time left to read if I read this one. So I think I'm just going to do what I said I was going to do earlier and read Veronica Speedwell's Night book instead, because that's way longer. That takes me much more time. I'm going to just take my time reading that one so that I can finish off this readathon. So yeah, sorry the nachos, you're too short. So the plan is I'm gonna read A Grave Robbery, and I'll update you guys later when I'm finished. It is hours and hours later, and I managed to finish reading my last book on my 24-hour readathon, and I also completed the challenge well, with 30 minutes left of the challenge. But what was I going to read in 30 minutes? So yeah, I read as much book as I could in 24 hours, which was the goal all along. So that is completed, and the amount of books I was able to read were 5 books. I only have 4 of them because I did read one ebook. I wanted to mainly read my physical TBR, but one of the books I didn't really like that much, and I wanted to read that one. I was reading on Kindle because I really enjoyed reading. I'm going to always go for the books I'm in the mood for at the end of the day because I don't want to get into a slump. So, first book I completed, An Enchantment of Ravens. I gave this one 4.5 stars. It was a reread. It was 4 stars the first time I read it, but I gave it 4.5 this time around because I really enjoyed it. The writing style was so whimsical, the world was so beautiful, and I really love the theme of romance between a human and a fairy. Like, that was just so great. I really enjoyed reading it. It was so fun. Then I read On the Run with a Vampire by Annie Starr. That one was a paranormal romance. I gave that one 4 stars. It was very fun, chaotic, and sweet. I loved it so much. And next one I read was Dead at Morning House. This one is a young adult mystery thriller. It was okay. I was a little bit disappointed, but not totally. I did enjoy the main character a whole lot, so she made the book more enjoyable. Then I read When the Crows Away. I really love this one so much. It made it worth it to stay up so late and read it because it was just so sweet and so comfy. I really love it. This is a book I see myself rereading in the future. And I gave it 5 stars. And lastly, today I finished A Grave Robbery by Diana Raybourn. I cannot wait. I really hope next year the next book comes out in this series because I really enjoy reading Veronica and Stoker's story. They are so great together. They're so funny. Like, they are the best. And I gave this one 5 stars, which is surprising because even though I really love the series, I've never given any of the books in this series a 5 stars. They've always been like 4.5 stars. I think never higher than that. But this one, maybe because it's the last one I have in the series, but I don't know, something was different about it. And I do know what was different. What was different is that we had much more than just Veronica and Stoker. We have all these other characters that they have met along in the series, and they were all in this book. They were all like together, and they formed like this group trying to solve this mystery. I really love a kind of found family kind of group of friends solving a mystery trope. So I think that's why I enjoyed this one a whole lot. It made it not boring at all, because my previous qualms with the series is that it could get a bit boring at some bits, but this one, never boring, never. And I really was invested in the actual mystery surrounding this wax figure woman that they find out is actually not a wax figure. She's a real human that was manipulated to look like a wax figure, and her body was preserved for like 15 years actually. So that was quite interesting. I really loved the outcome of her story, and the mystery itself was just so fun and enticing. And as always, Veronica and Stoker were so humorous and romantic. I really loved it. So I gave it 5 stars. And I'm going to take a break from books for now. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.